The city of Lumina was known for its dazzling neon lights that painted the streets in vibrant hues of blue, pink, and green. But beneath the glow of the city's nightlife, darkness lurked. Detective Arthur Blake had seen it all in his 20 years on the force, but nothing had prepared him for the case that would come to be known as the Neon Night Killer. It all began on a chilly Tuesday evening. The rain had just stopped, leaving the streets slick and reflective. A young woman, Clara Bennett, was found dead in an alley behind the popular nightclub, Neon Dreams. Her body was slumped against a dumpster, her face pale under the flickering neon sign. What struck Detective Blake immediately was the symbol carved into her palm, a small, glowing star. Blake crouched beside the body, his trench coat brushing the wet pavement. He examined the star-shaped mark. It wasn't just a cut. It seemed to have been filled with some kind of luminescent paint, making it glow faintly under the neon lights. "This isn't just a murder," Blake muttered to his partner, Officer Rita Morales. "This is a message." The autopsy revealed that Clara had been poisoned. A rare, fast-acting toxin had been injected into her neck. There were no signs of struggle, suggesting she had known her killer. Blake and Morales began their investigation by retracing Clara's steps. Clara was a 24-year-old bartender at Neon Dreams. She was well-liked by her co-workers and had no known enemies. Her friends described her as cheerful and ambitious, with dreams of opening her own bar someday. But as Blake dug deeper, he discovered that Clara had been spending time with a mysterious man in the weeks leading up to her death. He was tall, always wore a black coat, and had this aura about him, one of Clara's co-workers recalled. She called him the Star. The Star. The glowing star on Clara's palm suddenly made sense. Blake felt a chill run down his spine. Was this man marking his victims? 2 days later, another body was found. This time, it was a man named Victor Lane, a local musician. He was discovered in the parking lot of a karaoke bar, his body positioned under a neon sign that read Echoes. Like Clara, Victor had a glowing star carved into his palm. The same rare toxin was found in his system. Blake and Morales were now certain they were dealing with a serial killer. The press had already caught wind of the case, dubbing the murderer the Neon Night Killer. The city was in a panic, and the pressure on the police department was mounting. Blake decided to visit Neon Dreams again, hoping to find a connection between the victims. As he sat at the bar, nursing a cup of coffee, he noticed a man in a black coat sitting in the corner. The man was tall, with sharp features and piercing blue eyes. He seemed to be watching everyone but drawing no attention to himself. Blake's instincts kicked in. He approached the man, flashing his badge. "Detective Blake. Mind if I ask you a few questions?" The man smiled faintly. "Of course not, Detective. I'm just here for the music." "What's your name?" "You can call me Leo," the man replied smoothly. Blake's eyes narrowed. "Leo, huh? You wouldn't happen to know Clara Bennett or Victor Lane, would you?" Leo's smile didn't waver. "I've heard of them. Tragic. What happened?" Blake wasn't convinced. He asked Leo to come down to the station for further questioning, but Leo politely declined. "I'm afraid I have somewhere to be, Detective. But I'm sure we'll meet again." Before Blake could stop him, Leo stood and walked out of the bar, disappearing into the neon-lit streets. That night, Blake couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about Leo and the way he had looked at him like he knew something Blake didn't. The next morning, Blake received a package at the station. Inside was a small, glowing star made of glass and a note that read, "The stars will guide you, Detective. But will you see the truth?" Blake's heart raced. He knew the killer was taunting him, But he also knew he was getting closer. He decided to revisit Claire's apartment, hoping to find something he had missed. As he searched through her belongings, he found a journal hidden under her mattress. The entries were mostly about her daily life, but one passage stood out. Met the star tonight. He's unlike anyone I've ever known. He says he can show me a world beyond the neon lights. I'm scared, but I can't look away. Blake's mind raced. What world was Claire talking about? And who was the star, really? The breakthrough came when Morales discovered that both Clara and Victor had recently visited a mysterious art gallery called the Luminous Realm. The gallery was known for its avant-garde exhibits, but it had closed down a month ago. Blake and Morales decided to investigate. The gallery was located in an old, dilapidated building on the outskirts of the city. As they entered, they were greeted by a dimly lit room filled with glowing sculptures and paintings. In the center of the room stood Leo, his black coat blending into the shadows. "Welcome, detective," Leo said, his voice echoing through the empty space. "I've been expecting you." Blake drew his gun. "It's over, Leo. Or should I call you the star?" Leo chuckled. "You're clever, detective, but you're too late. The stars have already chosen their next target." Before Blake could react, Leo pressed a button on the wall, and the room was plunged into darkness. When the lights came back on, Leo was gone. Blake and Morales searched the gallery, but found no trace of him. However, they did discover a hidden room filled with photographs of potential victims, each marked with a glowing star. The case was far from over, but Blake knew one thing for certain. The Neon Night Killer was still out there, and he wouldn't stop until the city's neon lights were extinguished forever. As Blake stepped back into the night, the glowing stars above seemed to mock him. The hunt was on, and the truth was closer than ever, but at what cost?